Mrs. M. Priyadarshini, ME MBA, is doing PhD, is currently working as teaching fellow in the Department of IST, Anna University, Chennai. She completed a Master's in Software Engineering from Anna University. She has about 10 years of experience in handling courses for UG and PG. She was serving as Technical Evangelist for Corporate over 4 years in Java Enterprise Technologies, Software Engineering, Databases, AWT, and Design Patterns. She is proficient in handling IT projects as well into concept development for enterprises. She is doing a research in the area of web services security. Her other areas of interest include software engineering, AWT, databases, enterprise technologies, and service-oriented architecture. She holds many journal publications and conference proceedings in her research area.
Welcome to UGC lecture series in Computer Science Java Part 21. So in this session we are going to see about AWT package. So what is difference between AWT package and the components in your Swing package, and then we are going to see the components hierarchy of your AWT package, and then creation of GUI using your AWT package, and then a few sample GUIs. AWT package. So Java's abstract window toolkit. So this provides classes and other tools for building programs that have a graphical user interface. The term abstract refers to the AWT's ability to run on multiple platforms. So far the programs that we have seen were directly using the inputs that is given from the console, that is through your keyboard. And then we have also tried few programs with command line arguments. Our mode of input was keyboard and then the command line argument, and then our mode of output is your console or monitor. During the execution itself you are trying to give few parameters as command line arguments. Whereas in real time applications we have graphical user interface where you have to use the components that is available in a particular set of toolkit. So here AWT is such a toolkit that is provided by Java. So we have this toolkit where we have various components available. So these components could be used and then user input can be received with the help of these components. So we name this as a graphical user interface. So the user is going to interface with your program through some graphical components. So these graphical components collection is available in the AWT package. From this package I can import all the necessary classes and interfaces and then create a graphical user interface which is going to be here more used in order to create the Java application. Next is here we say that is as an abstract. So abstract means that this could be implemented on various platforms based on the platform's facilities that are available. So you can implement the interfaces, abstract classes that is available in your particular toolbox, that is your toolkit, and you can create your own components. GUI programming in Java is based on three concepts. One is components, containers, and events. So a component is an object that the user can see on the screen and in most cases interact with. A container is a component that can hold other components. Event is an action triggered by user such as a key press or mouse click. So whenever I say a graphical user interface, first I will have a set of components. So these components are the method through which you can give input and you can show the output or display the output to the user. So for example, I have to have a chart, I have to have a table through which I have to specify the information that is available with me, or I need to have a controls which is going to receive one single input. It may be a text box, it may be a password field, it may be a set of values from which I have to choose one or multiple values. So, based on that I have to choose my components. So, there should be a set of components through which you can make user interact with your application. Next is, these components should be put on a particular container. So, I cannot directly use those components if at all it is not placed on a container. So, I need to have a container. The container will have a collection of components that is loaded on that particular container, and even if you load that, the particular component has to be used by the user through a particular set of activities. Those particular set of activities are nothing but the events that the user is going to do on that particular component or on the container. So, your graphical user interface application will have a set of components put on a container, and then set of events through which the user could interact with that particular component and make your application usable. So, how to design a graphical user interface? So, first is creating the components, putting them into the container and arranging for the program to respond to the events. So, anyway, we are going to see all these in detail. So, first is we are going to see what are all the components available, what are all the containers available. Next, anyway, we will see how these components could be placed on the container, the way in which you have to organize these components. And next, after I organize the components, I need to find out which are all the components need to be given with some handling mechanisms, such a way that user can do some input process as well as receive an output process from that of your application. Take somewhere to display things, usually a frame or a dialog or an applet. So, in your AWT package, we normally have a frame or an dialog or an applet. These three are basically used as containers to load all your components. So, each of them are different and they are used for different purpose. So, anyway, we will see that also later. So, here we also create some components such as buttons, text areas, panels, etc. and then add your components to your display area. Then I have to add those components. Arrange or layout your components. So, we have various layouts in which you need to arrange. So, you have seen that, for example, I have a tabular data. So, then I have to show that in form of rows and columns. Again, if I have a detail regarding a particular user, so in that case I have to show that as a record. So, I may have a data which could be displayed on a text field, a data which could be displayed on a text area. So, it means that address, you can think that as an address. Address, you have to have a text area because multiple lines will be there in that particular text field. So, in that cases I have to find out how I need to display those contents, as well as I need to decide upon the layout based on which you are going to place those components. And then again I have to attach listeners to the component. So, interacting with the component causes an event to occur. So, whenever I do some action, so if I have a button, so then button is used in order to click. On click of the button we need to do some action. So, these are done with the help of listeners. A listener get a message when an interesting event occurs and execute some code to deal with it. So, here I need to provide the code which has to be run at the back end when that particular event is being activated by the users. So, all the facilities, all the classes and interfaces needed for this is available in the AWT package. The package is given by java.awt and the GUI elements, primitive elements are button, label, checkbox and scroll bar. Whereas the container, so container, as I told you that it could be placed with more number of components. So, I can have a panel, a frame, dialog, etc. One particular frame could be loaded with various panels. So, one panel may again have a way of organizing the components on it. So, one panel may load, so for example, think that user registration process is there, user will have personal data, he will have his academic data. So, each of them could be loaded on a different panel. So, panel, because all these information will not be of same format, or they may not be organized in the same way. Your educational qualification may be given as components in a different format, whereas your personal information may be in a different format. So, next is layout managers are available. So, these layout managers follows flow layout or border layout. Layout is nothing but the way in which you organize the components on the container. So, the supporting classes is for your event handling, that we have under java.aw.event package. So, inside this event package we will have all the listeners, we will have all the events that occurs when a user tries to interact with that particular GUI with the help of that component. And then for graphics we have color, we have font, and then graphics, etc. So, all these classes are available under graphics. So, for geometry we have point, rectangle, dimension, and then for image, for storing and retrieving images, for processing your images, I separately have java.aw.image package. So, under this all various classes that are necessary in order to process an image is available. So, first we will have a look on what is the difference between this AWT and Swing. What is a Swing? AWT is a Java's original set of classes for building GUIs. So, this AWT comes along with your JDK package. This uses pure components of the OS, that is heavyweight components. So, this is not truly portable, looks different and lays out inconsistently on different OS due to OS underlying display management system. So, this abstract window toolkit components and the containers. So, this is closely related to the operating system and the platform, operating system or the platform in which you are trying to work on. So, it is a heavyweight component. So, the creation of this particular components involves more resources. So, whenever I load a particular component, I need more resources in order to load the component and make that execute. So, it is closely related to the platform on which you are working. So, even though AWT could be used on multiple platforms, so if you use AWT component, it is more related to your platform. So, the look and feel of your particular component and the loading of the component, execution of the component, everything is closely related to OS, and it occupies more space as well as it occupies more time in order to process. So, that is why it is said to be a heavyweight set of components. So, whereas you can see that there is another package called Swing. So, this Swing package is an additional package that comes along with your JDK. So, here Swing is designed to solve AWT's problems. So, 99% Java and then lightweight components. So, it is not more related to a particular OS or platform. So, it is purely a Java, which is, that Java is platform independent and then it is architectural neutral, all those. So, all those properties of Java, here we have 99% of those properties included in your Swing components. So, drawing of components is done in Java, uses 4 of AWT components. So, this again basically uses already available AWT components such as windows, frame, dialog. Whenever I say AWT, so we have a set of components that is available, as well as when you go in for Swing, you have a different set of components. So, normally the class name that is available in AWT will be prefixed with a letter J. It means that those components belong to Swing package, that is the additional package, whereas the other components without prefixed as J becomes the components that is available in AWT. By that we can identify whether this particular component belongs to your AWT or Swing. Layout consistently on all OS uses AWT event handling. So, here in your Swing component, so it is a lightweight process, uses only Java, and then the look and feel, it does not change with respect to the platform. So, the look and feel will be the same when you load the Swing components in any of the platforms, and again the event handling mechanism is used from that of your AWT events. So, event handling, so what are all the events? So, action event, if I say button, that is taken from AWT, if I say J button, that is taken from a Swing, both of them are going to raise an event called action event, which is available in AWT package. Only the components are different, whereas the event handling process is same for your AWT as well as the Swing components. So, you can see this is the component hierarchy of your AWT package. So, component is abstract. So, from the component we have a set of components here and then we have a set of containers. So, now we will have a short break and then we will continue with what are all the components that are available in AWT and how to use them in your creation of GUI. Welcome back. So, now we will have a look on the AWT component hierarchy. So, here you can see that component. So, this component is extended to button, your canvas, your checkbox, choice, label, list, scroll bar, and then we have a text component. So, this text component can be a text area or it can be a text field. So, here we have container. So, you know that this is inheritance relationship and this is your composition relationship. So, your container, there will be n number of components that could be placed on one single container. So, container, whenever I say, it can be a panel or a window. So, window can be a frame or a dialog. So, frame is the type of window, dialog is the type of window, and even I can have file dialogs. So, for panel, applet is an derived class of the panel. So, I have applets, dialogs and frames in order to create a graphical user interface. So, anyway, we are going to see all these components, the methods that are available in all these components, that is all event handling mechanism, all events, everything we are going to see in detail. Component is superclass of most of the displayable classes defined within the AWT. Note, it is abstract. So, component is an abstract superclass of all the displayable components. So, it means that all your controls which is used by the user in order to give such some input and receive some output, all of them comes under type of component. So, all are derived from component. Component is an abstract class, you cannot instantiate a component, whereas you can inherit the component and you can include functionalities, you can implement those functionalities as such based on your particular component. Here menu component is another class which is similar to that of component, except it is a super class of all GUI items which can be displayed within a drop down menu. So, whereas your menu is of type drop down. So, you have seen in all of your softwares you will have menu which is available on the window. So, that menu will help you in order to navigate through all the pages that is available or all the documents that are available, that is based on your application. So, you can see here object. So, menu component is again a type of object. So, this menu component could be a menu bar or a menu item. So, menu bar is your component which is going to hold many menu items. So, I can create. So, you can see that file. So, inside file you have options like open, save, save as, all these. So, all these are menu items. Your menu can be a menu item. Checkbox menu item is a type of menu item. So, my menu item, I can say that as a normal menu or it can be a checkbox menu item also. So, I have an option to check that particular. So, you would have seen in your customization of your toolbar, you can choose that particular menu item and then you can include that in your toolbar, or you need not include that in your toolbar. So, the component class defines data and methods which are relevant to all the components. So, this is an abstract and then it has variables and methods which could be used and implemented in all the other derived classes. So, you can see that set bounds, set size. So, these are all common for the components. So, location of the component, font. So, you can enable or disable the component, you can make that component visible. So, you can set the foreground color as well as the background color. So, these are in general for any component, it may be a button, it may be a label, it may be a text field, whatever may be the component. So, your size, your location, your bounds, everything are common with respect to component. So, next is a container. So, container is a subclass of the component. All containers are themselves components. Containers can contain components. For a component to be placed on a screen, it must be placed within a container. So, already I told you that container will have a collection of components in there, even though the container is also a component. So, container is a type of component and this container can hold various such components. So, for example, I have a frame. The frame can hold various panels. So, frame is a container, again your panel is a container. So, you can have, so since your container is also a component, if you consider frame as a container, so then it can contain many panels. So, panel now is considered as a component. So, again the panel works as a container and it can contain many components, maybe your buttons, your text box, all these components. So, you can see here there are set of methods which could be applied on a container. So, container class define all data and method necessary for managing group of components. So, add, get component, get maximum size, minimum size, get preferred size, remove and remove all. So, here maximum in all your applications we are going to add lot of components on the container. So, you can add a component, you can remove a component from the container whenever you need. So, during your running of your application, you can dynamically add few components, you can dynamically remove components, remove all the components, you can fix up the maximum size, minimum size preferred with all these, you can fix it up for the container. We see that windows and frames. Window class defines a top level window with no border or menu bar, usually used for application splash screens. Frame defines a top level window with borders and menu bar. Frames are most commonly used than windows. Window does not hold a menu bar or it does not hold any border. So, it means that it is a blank window, whereas you cannot load those window without help of any container. So, window needs a container. Whenever I create a window, it means that I need to create it as a frame or I need to create it as a dialog. So, dialog and frame are type of window. If at all I need to create a window, so in that case it could be a window without your border or your menu bar. Some pages such as your splash pages, the first page, preliminary page in which you are not going to load anything on your toolbar and you are not going to have any menu bar, you will have just some information that is displayed. In that case I can have just a window. So, here you can see that a frame is created and then I am setting the size for the frame, you can set the location and then you can set your frame to be visible. So, frame is a container which can contain components. So, once this frame object is created, you can create more number of components and then you can add those components on the frame. So, frame is of type container, so it has a method called add. So, I create a button, I create a text box, I create all the components that could be loaded on the frame and then I can add them on the frame. So, again in one particular frame I can have many panels and on the panel is again a container, I can have add methods, I can add components to the panel and then I can even add the panel on the frame. We will see what is difference between frames and dialogs. So, dialog is a child or helper window for your application which is represented by a frame. So, closing a dialog should not close the application. Modality can be set for a dialog. So, you have seen that when you use any of the applications, whenever you try to delete something, so you will have a dialog which gives some information to the user and the user will respond to that particular information that is displayed. Based on that you do some other work on your application, whereas whenever I try to close that particular dialog that is given to the user, the application running of your application does not get affected. So, if I want to delete something, so it will ask you whether a confirmation message to whether to delete or not. So, I can say delete or do not delete or even just I can close it. So, in that case again the control moves on to your application. So, it is like a child or helper window which comes as a small window which could help your application to run. So, whenever I close this particular, so there is two types of dialogs, one is modal dialog and modeless. Mode means minimize, maximize and close. So, if you have some mode, the operation of that particular thing is different. So, once I have a particular mode in which I can operate that, so it means that I can work on that particular dialog with various modes. So, that is what is modality. So, I can set the modality, based on the modality the behavior of my dialog differs. Whereas, in case of frame, so my frame is the base of my application. So, once I close a particular frame, which is the base of my application, then my entire application could be closed, whereas it is not in case of the dialog. So dialog is a preliminary thing which comes as the user's way of interacting with the application, whereas it is not the application itself, as in case of frames. Panel, when writing a GUI application, the GUI portion can become quite complex. So in that cases, I split my frame into various panels. To manage the complexity, GUIs are broken down into group of components. Each group generally provides a unit of functionality. So panel is a rectangular container whose sole purpose is to hold and manage components within a GUI. As already told, if there are more number of components which has to be placed on one page, so like user registration page, as I told, I will have more number of components to be put on one particular GUI. In that case, I can split that into panels. So each panels can form different layout. You can see that we have a panel. So this is construct of the panel. We have constructed a panel, and then on the panel, here panel as a container, so has an add method. So now I am adding a new component. So I am creating a new component with a particular caption OK, and then this button will be created. So already I have told you that what is difference between having a constructor directly being called using new keyword, or else constructing a object with a particular object name. So here we do not have the object, it means that this object will not be referred often. Okay. Whereas if it need to be referred often, we need to have an object reference, that is the name of the object should be available. Here just I am going to have a sample, and then just I can create an instance of that particular component, I load it on the page, I am not going to use it further. So here I am trying to add another button. So here to add method. So this will be added based on a particular fashion. So which fashion based on which, that is which layout based on which this will add, is based on the container type. If it is frame, frame basically follows flow layout. Flow layout is one after the other. So once the set of components reaches the end of the particular width, so in that case it again comes to the second row. So all the components will be added row wise. Once it comes to the end of the width, so again it will be placed in the next row. So this is called flow layout. So basically your frame follows a flow layout as the default layout. If you want to have any particular layout, you can set that layout. So here panel, your panel again follows the flow layout. You can see we have a frame. I am setting the size of the frame, location. So now I am adding a panel to the frame. I am adding the panel to the frame. So now I have created a panel, I have created a frame. So now I am adding the panel to the frame. So since this is available in the public static void main, it means that this is the starting point of your application, that is your AWT test. So whenever I execute this AWT test program, what happens? This will create a panel, this will create a frame, and then on the frame this panel gets added up, and then on the panel these buttons get added up. So we will be displayed with a frame, on the frame we will have a panel, on the panel we will have two buttons following the flow layout. You will have a frame, so this is your frame. So on the frame I have a panel, and on the panel I have buttons. This is a frame, we have minimize button, maximize button and close button. So this what buttons you need to add on the frame is decided by the user. Now here the same frame, whenever we are trying to create a dialog, so how this works, you can see here I am creating a dialog, and inside the dialog I am creating a frame. So it means that this frame is now going to act as a dialog. So whenever I say dialog, it means that this is going to be a supplement window which is of your application. So this window need to have a particular type of button fashion. So there are set of predefined types of buttons available which could be used in your dialog. So you can see here in this dialog I am trying to add here it follows border layout. So, anyway we are going to see your layouts later on. Here it means that you are adding your component to the south of your particular dialog. So, I am creating a button and then I am just showing my dialog. So, this dialog dot show will show the dialog. So, this dialog is again a frame with a particular set of constraints. So, you can see here there is a dialog. So, by default you do not have options minimize and maximize. So, this is modeless. So, you do not have any mode, you do not have minimize mode, you do not have maximize mode. So, you have only close, only option to close. So, it means that on closing or on giving OK only you can proceed with your application. So, here in this sample we have only dialog. So, we do not have any problem. If it is inside an application we have to close it and then only you can proceed with your application. So, as a summary, in this session we have seen what are all the components that is available in your ADT package, what is your ADT package, what is difference between your ADT and Swing, how to create a GUI using your ADT, and then we have also seen few sample GUI construction. And from this session we will be able to answer questions such as differentiate your AWT and Swing, list few classes that is available in your ADT package, what is a container, what is use of panels, so when do we use panels, and how to create a graphical user interface. So, in your forthcoming session we will be having a discussion about what are all the various layouts available, based on the layouts how the components get added up, and then how to handle the events. And also we are going to see about what are all the various Swing components that are available. Thank you.